Approval of the members is required to proceed because the name of the organization is called out in the Constitution, and the Constitution can't be changed by the Board of Trustees. It has to be changed by a membership vote. The IIE board discussed and debated this issue over a period of months. They strongly support this change. Now, the process is what I have seen virtually all other board discussions to consist of. That is beginning with different points of view, different considerations, talking things through, coming to a common understanding, and then voting when essentially there was nothing to vote about, frankly, because the board had largely agreed, or let's leave it at that, largely agreed that this was the right thing to do. So it was a very unexciting vote, but we voted to communicate this position to the membership, and we have. I think we went public with this in April. So what's in a name? Obviously, what we call ourselves is not nearly as important as what we do, but there are many considerations in what we call ourselves. More and more, the work in our profession requires expertise with large-scale integrated systems. This proposed change captures our domain growth. That's the fundamental rationale. We can be more careful about those reasons. The word industrial no longer adequately describes what we do. It describes elements of what we do in an important way, but it's not complete. Most IE graduates no longer work in traditional industrial settings. The term industrial can produce inaccurate and limited images in the mind of the public. Now, personally, I've got absolutely no problem with the activities I see connoted in these pictures, but they don't really capture the full range of what IEs do. I'll offer you a potentially contentious assertion. The word might even hurt our image. Industrial alone has some baggage associated with it, and that it comes bundled with the negative externalities associated with production. And if you use the word industrial alone, there is a segment of folks who will focus on that. But the word industrial holds our traditions, and it is a proud tradition. It's well known among other engineers. Our colleagues in engineering, outside industrial engineering, that is that large quivering cohort of folks who are unspokenly envious of us because we have a broader discipline than them, know what industrial engineering means. The board does not advocate removing the word, but rather supplementing it. Industrial alone is no longer sufficient. Adding the word systems combines simplicity and impact. It adds as much scope as we thought we could garner, with as few syllables and as little ink as we thought we could expend.
Everything that we have here in industrial engineering, everything that our graduates are trained and are skilled to do, these are the things that operations engineering are actually reflecting. So I'm suggesting here that we would also include the word operation in that title, because operation is something that is in the core of industrial engineering. And it's not only the core, it actually reflects for the companies. If you go to all our supporters, FedEx Ground, UPS, if you go to Boeing, all the things that we're doing here, organizational planning, and things that are in the core business of industrial engineering, they know it as operations. They know it as operations, and they take MBAs instead of industrial engineers. And they take MBAs even instead of, say, graduate industrial engineers. And I think there's no justification for that, and I think that we are much better than the MBAs in operations management and in operations engineering.
I appreciate your comments, and I was in the last session, and I take it very sincerely, your comment. Industrial engineering is many things. It's health systems, it's quality, it's ergonomics. Obviously, if you go to any of the sessions here, you're seeing what it's all about. So to try to find the right word to describe it was something that we talked about at the board for many months, as Jim noted already. I did work in the service industry for 20 years for FedEx, in fact, as both an industrial engineer and as a manager of industrial engineering. And so I can guarantee you the ones that I affected were certainly hiring industrial engineers, but I was biased, obviously. You know, I think your point is very, very valid. What the board discussed was many options and came up with this one as it describes what we believe is the best enhancement to our title to project us into the future competitively.
And not to question the integrity or the thinking of the board. That's not the question I have here. And I appreciate the fact that you've estimated $100,000. I think, though, the cost may be bigger than that. There are intangible pieces, all of us back home. There are things that we will be changing names. It's the same discussion that you have when you change the name of a street. A street still gets me from point A to point B. The concept of industrial engineering, though, I agree, it's dated. You know, it brings back the old 40s and the 50s when facility layout was done with little metal buildings and machines and all these things. And I know we've gone way beyond that, but as you think about it, you know, think about the other professions across the country. IIE has not changed their name. AICHE has not changed their name. ASQ took, they modified it, you know, but in view of, and so on and on and on, is that we need to think seriously as we change this name, because the identity is established with the name of IIE. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong. In fact, I don't think there's anything in the name, personally, if you ask my opinion. What is in the content of the organization is what matters. And I know the board has had those discussions, and I'm not questioning your integrity at all. But I think as members, we need to think through what we're accomplishing through the expense that we're about to spend, not only at IIE, but across the country as a profession, and to explain why we have now changed our name, whereas IIE has some identity.
See how many job descriptions are out there that actually have the name Industrial and Systems Engineer on them. And by the way, I'm for this Industrial and Institute, this IISC. I'm for this because for the marketing reason that you stated before. And I still think, and we're still going to call people IEs. We do it all the time. We say, oh, my IE friend. Oh, my IE friend. We don't say my ISE friend. And the companies do not say, I want an ISE in here. They say, I want an IE. And then they also say they want an operations engineer here. And good employers, good hiring people know to go get an IE.